So much. So happy to have you all here. Hi, everybody. It's Martha Creek, and this is the fourth session of Living Untethered, Living Untethered. And it's an honor for me to be here. And these practices from this have done more for my soul than Advent may do for my soul. I just wrote a little newsletter today about Advent and how I don't even know what it means, but it means something to me. And living untethered, I don't know what it means either, but it means something to me. And I remember with this book, like many of the books in my life, including the two that's got my name on it, it was the subtitle that really drew me into this, which is Living Beyond the Human Predicament. And that's a life work for me and most of you. I've witnessed many of you over the years, and your devotion to being human, more human and more divine as a human, and to care for our humanity as much as we care for our divinity. So we'll launch in here tonight. This is being recorded, and if any time you want to share and not be recorded, simply ask me to pause it, and I'll do that so you can speak without having to worry about what's being said or how you're saying it or anything like that. Hi, Shaw. It's glad you made it, honey. So anything you want to start with tonight? Anybody living untethered or less tethered? You want to witness to it or to speak about it? Anything? I'll just open the floor here before I launch into the quotes and reflections and all that. Anybody? Go ahead.
I'll just jump in and say I live untethered for a maximum of a few minutes at a time.
Well, some of us will be jealous because it could be seconds for some of us. Well, what's it like, honey? Say more about it, Marcia.
Well, when I'm feeling really solid, I notice that nothing bothers me. All the things that would have normally bothered me, and I've experienced them bothering me, I somehow, it's like almost magical. I can't even believe it myself. I'm like, that's weird. Normally that would really cause irritation or fear or whatever the case may be. But it's fleeting, and that's very frustrating.
Yeah. I think what makes it possible?
What makes it possible? What a great question. What makes it possible is I'm taking the time to connect to myself. I'm making it a priority to read, to meditate, to be in nature. I'm just making time for me. And then I'm pretty good, but I don't do that all the time.
Ain't that the damnedest thing, honey? Like, we've got the formula to some degree, and it's still interrupting the other patterning. So, or necessary to interrupt the other patterning. Yeah. Welcome, Lisa and Jim. Hi, so glad you made it here, honey. Teresa said it made for better holidays, and I'm probably the only ones who noticed it. Maybe, honey, but you noticing it is a lot over where some of us were just a minute ago or a few weeks ago. Anybody? Go. Yes, Cheryl, go, honey.
The holiday was very good because I was very conscious of my preferences and trying and letting them go. But then when I get back into my normal life, it's like, man, I still have all those preferences, and it is the cause of my suffering. But I have to be conscious about doing that in my daily life, not just at my family gatherings.
Yeah. Somebody had me in their podcast, and she featured that a little bit about, like how not to be a knucklehead when your family's being a knucklehead. And the question is really around how to do this a little more often. And when we're not able to do it, not to go so far out. And for me, not to go so far out or stay gone as long. And hopefully to have some compassion to extend to myself when I still go out, so to speak, when I when I get caught up or get the hooks in me again. Okay, let's see. Here comes somebody. So this is from the text. Imagine you're taking a walk and there's a piece of paper on the side of the road. You immediately feel the disharmony and you pick up the paper. It's not a have to. It's not even I'm supposed to. You're simply an artist making the world more beautiful. Your mind doesn't say, I'll pick this one up, but I'm not going to pick up every single piece of litter. Nor does your mind say, what idiot threw this piece of paper down here? This is the kind of person who ruins the world that threw this down here. No, that's not what untethered living is about. You're simply a spontaneous being who is in harmony with life. You expect nothing back from your actions because they were not done for approval or recognition. Now you can't help but share the beautiful energy going on inside of you with the moment in front of you. The highest life you can live is when every single moment that passes before you is better off because it did pass in front of you. You've made every single moment a better one. Serve the present moment with all your heart and soul. Imagine what the world would be like if everyone did just that. Start. Let's start. So what's a situation or two where you may be seeking something, seeking to be seen, seeking to be acknowledged, seeking to be approved of, seeking to be thanked, seeking to be noticed, seeking to be acknowledged, seeking to be a somebody? And what's the consequences on your spirit when you're seeking? How does it feel when you're seeking? Chronically, constantly seeking, or even occasionally. What's the cost? What does the seeking cause in you? Anybody want to put it in chat or raise your hand? What's the consequences of seeking love, seeking approval, seeking appreciation, seeking to be acknowledged? Francis says stress, anxiety. Marcia, stress, wasted energy causes my vitality to leak off. I'm not as vital. I don't feel as good. I don't have as much energy. Leslie says I can't be in the present. I cannot be present because I'm seeking something. It takes up all the space, all the attention. Fear. Yes, Sigrid. Fear. What if I don't get it? What if I don't have the stamina to keep this up? Thanks, Bill. Bill says it kicks up doubt. Doubt. I'll doubt myself. I'll doubt what I'm doing and fear that I won't get it. Fear that it won't come through. And then what happens? Thanks, Lisa. I miss the moment. I miss possibilities then. That I'm stuck and living in struggle and strife. Yeah, and I'll doubt them. And just past doubting them, now I'm talking for myself here now. As soon as right after I doubt them, I'll start to resent them. Then if I'm not careful, my heart closes down. Then I'm in real stress. So this is so powerful. So I'm very self-disclosing usually, particularly in classes like this. I love this class so much, by the way. I look so forward to this. So thank you all for coming, because it's like you make my day and I get to fulfill my mission for life, which is to serve those who serve. So you're the fulfillment of my own life's mission here, and I get to have a big time with you on Tuesdays. And in the spring, we'll do something else. So I was 50 some years old in my mother's house. And I went in there in my big super achieving, get her done, watch what I can get done, my efficiency, productivity, these things that run the show with me most of the time. And I was doing laundry. So I went into her she lived in a 4-room house, 4 rooms with a bathroom in between 2 bedrooms. So 4 bedrooms, 4 rooms and a little bathroom. And I went in there to get laundry. And I headed to the basement to do the laundry. And she was on the phone. And I hovered in the doorway for her to see me taking the laundry down to do it. She wasn't noticing. So I was like a circus monkey, circling, pausing, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, waiting for her to see how hard I'm working. Does this sound ridiculous? I'm a grown woman. And the patterning of this, can somebody see how hard I work around here? Can someone see how much skin I've got in the game? Can somebody throw me 1 dose of acknowledgement, 1 dose of thanks, 1 dose of that a girl? So talk about living hell. And then I had an awakening and I went on down and did the laundry. And then with every step down those basement steps, I realized I'm doing the laundry for me. It was never for my mother. I feel better about myself when I do the laundry. So who would I be just doing the laundry, free of seeking her acknowledgement? It's like I would be lighter. I would be self-realized. I would be less stressed. I'd feel better about myself. And I'd be free. So where's some places you may still be seeking? Who are you seeking from? Not are you seeking? What are you seeking and who from? What are you seeking sincerely? And who from? So like I'd want my parents to notice that I blank, or I'd want my spouse to think blank about me, or I want my colleagues to think blank about me. What is it you want them to believe about you? So if they're all secretly talking about you tonight, what would you want to hear them say about you? I want them to think and believe I'm a blank. What are you seeking? And who from? And we've looked at some of the consequences. Yes. Anybody else got a spouse? I want my spouse to know how much I do for him or how much I do for her. Oh, yes. I want people to be impressed by how much I've learned, my certifications, the letters after my name. I want them to see how many quotes I can throw out. I want them to say, I noticed on the ministers' meeting that I hosted yesterday, I said to one of the ministers, I think you were about to say something else and I interrupted. And he said, boy, you don't miss a thing. And oh boy, I got so puffed up over that. Like, oh yeah, I'm the one who doesn't miss a thing. Oh yes, I'm that one. And see, it's clean. That could be clean if I didn't get dependent on that. So if he said, oh my God, Martha, you've missed this the last 3 times. I put my hand up 3 times and you missed it. If I didn't self-hate over that. So if I don't get offended by that and then get more addicted to, oh yeah, I'm the one who doesn't miss a thing. It could be just clean transactions, living in the moment. Yeah. And Marilyn's running such big energy, she blew up her computer before she got on. So I'm glad you got your circuit breaking going on there, girl. You made it in here. So who are you trying to impress? How are you trying to impress them? What are the consequences of it? And now get a sense, maybe close your eyes if you're willing to, and get a sense of you've had a transformation. And after this little class tonight, you suddenly just stopped seeking. If it just left you, what would it be like if you were free of seeking? How would it feel? Get a sense of it in your body. You're still you. They're still them. All that's different is you, but you're radically different. And seeking has left you. What would that be like? So imagine you see they've left crumbs on the kitchen counter again. And what would it be like to just clear the kitchen counter? To serve the moment you're in. So I don't have to point out to them that I cleaned up their mess. I don't have to add this to my inventory of what I've already done for you today. And even go so far, we're imagining here the power of our imagination. What if you even found just a hair of delight in it? What would that be like to even like be tickled a little bit by it? Like, oh my God, these crumbs. Like my friend Rob used to call it, these are your spiritual pop quizzes. Like, oh, this is a pop quiz. How am I going to do? So I'm either going to go back into the pattern or I'm going to lean away from it and say, okay, I'm going to do this without as much seeking. And Marcia said she felt her shoulders relax. It's like, I live for that, honey. So send me a check. Would you make it a large payment to me? Because most people are having to pay people to get their shoulders to relax. That's music to my ears. And Marilyn says she wouldn't be human. And I'm like, would that be all right? As long as you don't die, because I'm pretty attached to you, honey. So don't die. But go ahead and don't be human as often as you get a chance to. I'd be less human if I was less patterned in this way. So see then this coming week where you are picking up pieces of paper somebody else has thrown down and how you can be with picking up that paper differently. How you can clean up and have a different attitude about it. This is quote number 2. If you're conscious, present, and paying attention, you will know what to do. The moment in front of you is talking to you. It doesn't have to be in words. The piece of paper on the ground, the person who needs some help, whatever it is, your response becomes obvious. The deepest truth is that it doesn't even matter what you do. So I'm going to encourage you to write that down or say it differently, but put it in front of you somewhere. I want you to reflect on this in a minute. The deepest truth is that it does not even matter what I do. What matters is where I'm coming from. What matters is where you're coming from, not what you do. What matters then is your motive. If your motive is to let go of yourself, live less tethered, and serve the moment in front of you, you are worthy of the highest, greatest respect. How would you like to meet somebody whose entire motive and purpose in life is to let go of all their personal blockages and then do their best to serve whatever is in front of them? They can't do wrong because their motives are pure. If the motive itself is pure and impersonal, it will spread light. So everybody's on mute. I'm going to encourage you to say out loud, it doesn't matter what I do. It doesn't matter so much what I do.
It doesn't
It
matter.
doesn't
what
matter
It
what
doesn't
I
matter
do.
what I do. And it doesn't matter that it does.
It doesn't matter what I do. It matters how I do it. What matters is how I do it. What matters is my motive for doing. So what's some examples of a more pure motive? So if we're moving out of seeking, we're moving out of demanding, moving out of willfulness, moving out of some of these more undifferentiated ways of our humanness, what would be a more enlightened state? What would be a more pure motive for doing whatever it is we're going to do? So if we drop some of the old patterned motives, to be seen, to be known, to be acknowledged, to be loved, to be recognized, to be somebody, what kind of motives would replace those? Thanks, Jim. For the benefit of all. What's good for the whole? For joy, for delight, for fun, to unite people, to bring people together, to create harmony, more harmony in the world. Bill says it as to do what love would do. Marilyn says, I would mother for the sake of mothering. To be the mother I want to be. And to mother in a way that blesses my soul. Loving for the sake of loving, being for the sake of being. Sybil, thank you, honey. To put more light in the world. To be light into the darkness. Is this enough? Can any one of these be enough to cause us to interrupt some of this? Say, I'm going to be so much about this. I just can't do the other anymore. I can't do it. Like it's not, I can't do it for my well-being. Have you heard the road to, is it the road to hell is paved with good intentions? Is that the way it goes? And how much I've wanted somebody to notice my good intentions. So what if we didn't need them to know our good intentions anymore? What if I knew my good intentions? If all I'm doing is minding my own good intentions, then I won't notice if you're minding my own good intentions or not. It's right, Sybil. When I'm not seeking, I will simply and justly be more light into the world. That's what the book is about to me, honey. Yeah. Bethany says to simply evolve, consciously evolve, and commit to betterment, to connect and seek to elevate others for the sake of loving and giving. All right. I'll put these quotes over in the chat, so if you want to copy them off, you'll have them or whatever. I'm still reading now from the text. A lot of people don't feel their heart very much. They're far more used to focusing on their mind. So focused on their mind that they don't notice the shifts in the heart until those shifts are simply too strong to ignore. Emotions are messy and much too sensitive. So people suppress them. Can I get an amen up in here? Emotions are messy and sensitive and intense. So we're likely, predictably patterned to suppress them, depress them, disown them, and for us high righteous spiritual types to deny them, to even pretend we don't have them. So what's an alternative? If after this course, if after this class and after tonight, we made more room for feelings, they're included, don't have to like them, don't have to love them, and I don't have to deny, suppress, disown, and repress them anymore either. So what are some ways, specific ways that you can give space, spaciousness, and give care, give some room to feelings, even when they're intense or sensitive or messy? What are some specific, sane, sensible, practical ways you can give space and room to emotions, to feelings? We're looking at how we're going to do this differently. So what could you do differently to give emotions some space? Let them have their life, so to speak. Journal, worksheets. Deborah?
I would say be with them until they pass, because they will.
Be with them, observe them, watch them rise and pass. They will pass.
Yeah.
Yeah. Emotions can be directed. After the initial awareness of what they're speaking to us, they're asking us to own them, recognize them. We can also redirect them. For what the mind believes, the heart will provide evidence for. Thank you, Bethany. Lisa says, practice, practice, practice. Practice observing, not engaging. And I call it, my practice is to observe, not absorb. Observe the feelings, not absorb them. And my coach worked with me years ago on this. Like, you're a sponge, Martha. Like, you're so full of feelings, you're so full of other people's feelings too, because I'm mopping up their feelings. It was a great graphic for me because she said, and I can ask you here tonight, what happens to a sponge when it gets full? What happens, what becomes to the sponge's functionality when it's full? It is useless. Jim says, drip, drip, drip. It overflows. Bethany says, yes, it leaks on everything. It drips where it shouldn't. And my response when I was asked by my coach is, all it's doing is pushing water around, wondering why something's not happening here. And if you let it go, it stops absorbing. It stops doing its job. It stops functioning. It's useless. It's of no earthly good. Yes, and heavy. And if we keep going, it'll eventually get stinky. Have you noticed? And sour. Ugh. So if that's not enough of a graphic for you, put one on your desk. So she encouraged me to be less of a sponge and more of a funnel. And I actually put these on my desk. It was so meaningful to me. I got a funnel and a sponge and kept it in my view, particularly when I was about to get some hooks in me. So instead of being a sponge, I can observe, not absorb, give space, take some air, and then eventually squeeze that baby out and start again. And I say throw it in the dishwasher every cycle or two. So what causes you to absorb instead of observe? The need to help, generosity. They'd be better off if they listen to me. Can't they see? Over-identification, enmeshment, not knowing where I begin and end and they begin and end. Habits, yes, these are all from the note, all from your chat here. Thank you. So then the difference then is, how are we going to do this? To observe, let them pass, rise and pass, and to be in touch with our heart as a feedback source. So maybe put your hand on your heart now. And maybe thank it. And I owe mine an apology or 10, some amends of how much I've not listened, how much I've not heeded its feedback. And what happens to my heart when I'm purer in my motives? Heart medicine, heart health. So see if you can make a commitment to your heart to live a little less tethered, a little less seeking, a little less willful, a little less stuck in your preferences, less blaming, less fault finding, less nitpicking. Whatever causes it to be distressed, that you're going to be mindful and actually do it a little differently now. And see, how does the heart respond to your care for it? How does your part call the heart? How did it respond to you just giving it a second there, even touching it? Focusing on it. What was the response of the heart when just a second or two that you offered a little care for it? And notice that your consciousness can focus fully on the heart. At least for a few seconds it did. And if it gets focused fully on the mind, we feel more divided. When emotions get extremely pleasant, we may have the tendency to behave irrationally too, because we don't want to shift awareness from the beauty in our heart to the rational mind. On the other hand, when the emotions are unpleasant, we may try to change our inner experience by letting our thoughts distract us from what's happening in the heart. So without care, the mind becomes a place the soul goes to hide from the heart. The mind becomes a place the soul goes to hide from the heart. So to transcend this tendency to hide in either our heart or our mind, our practice then, our goal here is to realize that it is always the same conscious awareness experiencing what is going on inside of us, whether it's the heart or the mind. We're neither. We're the conscious awareness experiencing both the heart and the feelings and the mind and the thinking. We're neither the feelings or the thinking, but the conscious awareness experiencing them. What would that do for us on a daily basis? And maybe more of this, what you put in the chat, more balance, owning both, giving space for both, judging neither, resisting neither, preferring neither. Our pulse may slow down. We may get more intentional. Yes, Sybil, maybe lower blood pressure. If it took 13.8 billion years, this was on a game show I was watching with somebody, by the way, and I got the right answer because of living untethered, because I just read it. So you never know. I may be preparing you to win $1 million on Wheel of Fortune or something here in this class. If it took 13.8 billion years for the moment in front of you to get here, and it took 13.8 billion years for you to end up in front of that moment, then every moment is indeed a match made in heaven. I just noticed some nausea arising in me. Nobody else is standing there. Nobody else is standing here experiencing exactly what I'm experiencing. Nobody else on the whole world and the whole planet is standing there experiencing exactly what you're experiencing. 13.8 billion years to make it possible. No one will ever experience what you're experiencing. No one ever did experience what you're experiencing, and no one ever will experience what you are experiencing. This exact moment will never be here again. How would you be different realizing this? That you, me, we, you are being given a unique show, a unique moment, a unique opportunity that took billions of years to create. It's right in front of you. And I'm complaining about it. What else could we do besides complain? What else could you do besides complain? Express appreciation, be in awe, even awestruck, use it for good, bask in a moment, Focus on openness, on possibilities. Does this sound familiar to your teachings? Commit to live what I believe. Big deep breath. Get a sense of it in your body. Like all of a sudden, if you just got a big dose of all. Less preferences about it. Less complaining about it. Less resisting it. Even inspired, maybe. Okay. I think it's the last quote. By being present to what appears before you, is as good as it gets. If you can't even serve what is put in front of you, how are you going to change the world? If we're still getting so upset about the conditions in the world that we're edgy with everyone around us, we're not helping anyone. If we cannot create harmony in our own inner being, in our own households, what right do we have to complain that countries are shooting missiles at each other? Quoting from the text, you have to live a life that if everyone lived it, there would be peace. Be the one, live the life, the one life you have to live, so that if everyone lived that same life you're living, there would be peace. And if we can't do that, then we're still part of creating the problems. It's all about letting go of yourself. The world is going to come in and it's going to hit what's left of your triggers, of your blockages, what you're feeling going on inside when that happens is reactive, blocked, repressed energy. Don't ever act based on those triggers. We will just be polluting the environment. No good can come from this. So what are some practical ways to not react from our triggers? What can you do to interrupt the instinctual knee-jerk triggers that we're wired for? What have you done? What can you do to interrupt that, at least at times? Like where's the hope in this? Breathe. Cheryl says breathe. Pause. Thanks, Victoria. So, what will you do after tonight? Bill says, get to know the triggers. Notice when they're getting pushed and pulled. Become a witness to them, interrupt them. And, you know, Jim, it is a cliche. Jim says it's a cliche, but count to 10. Count to 3. And every sage and seer and master teacher and enlightened being has taught us to do this. To pause, to presence ourselves. Take 3 deep breaths, count to 3, count to 10. Make a choice. Marcia says, ask, is this true? Is this a true response for me? Is this really how I want to respond to this? What's another option for me? How else could I be with this instead of my patterned way? So I just popped the quotes over there. So anything you want to reflect on here before we close tonight? Anything you want to speak or have uplifted for you or share, contemplate? Any insights you've gained through tonight or these 4 weeks we've been together? Speak it out here if you want to. Sue?
Hi, Martha. Something that in reading this book over the last little while, I thought back on a class you gave last year where one of your students was upset about a circumstance and he said, what, you're just going to give everybody a pass? And you thought about it and you said, yeah, I am. And so this line in the book near the back end, it said, compassion means you understand the root cause of people's behavior. And I connected that with that class because it almost shocked a lot of people that you basically said everyone gets a pass. And then I realized that the word pass is in the word compassion. So it all just kind of fit together. And I thought how powerful it is if we could understand that everybody's under this same spell, you know, this human condition, and we could give each other a pass over and over and over again. So, yeah, that was my thought.
It's beautiful, honey. And I'm thank you for saying that again, because that served me so well then, honey. That was such a powerful question for me. I was moved deeply by that. Like, is that what I'm going to do? And the answer was yes, a true yes. And I'm telling you, I used it for that whole time period, because it's like that every time my injustice collector took over, my internal injustice collector. Do y'all know what I mean? Anybody here have an injustice collector as one of your parts? Then it's like, oh, I'm doing the opposite for this week. I'm doing the opposite for this month. So they get a pass. They get a pass. They just roll their eyes, they get a pass. They didn't call me back, they get a pass. They missed a deadline, they get a pass. They cut me off in traffic, they get a pass. And I can't tell you the amount of freedom. So I'll dust that one off and reactivate it immediately, honey, for my own sake. Thanks for speaking it, Sue. They get a pass. This doesn't mean I'm going to move in with them. This doesn't mean I'm going to marry them. Doesn't mean I'm going to give them my checkbook and see what'll happen if they've been known to steal. And they get a pass. They're coming from their own triggers. They're coming from their own addictions. They're coming from their own traumas. They're coming from their own wounds. So I don't have to move in with it. but I also don't have to put my righteous indignation on it either. Anybody else? So this is the poem. It's not from him. This is from a man named John Rodell. And I'm reading it during the my upcoming talks through the Advent season. And as life would have it, I'm got 4 opportunities to speak on peace, all in a few weeks. And I'll put this in the chat so you'll have it if you want it. I can't make the world be peaceful. I can't stall tanks from roaring down roads. I can't prevent children from having to hide in bunkers. I can't keep a madman from creating heartbreaking headlines. I can't convince the news to stop turning war into video games. I can't silence the sound of bombs tearing neighborhoods apart. I can't turn a guided missile into a bouquet of flowers. I can't make a warmonger have an ounce of empathy. I can't convince diplomats to quit playing truth or dare. I can't deflect a sniper's bullet from turning a wife into a widow. I can't stave off a schoolyard from being reduced to ash and rubble. I can't do any of that. The only thing I can do is love the next person I encounter. What I can do is love the next person I encounter with less conditions and less strings. To love my neighbors so fearlessly that it starts a ripple that stretches from one horizon to the next. I can't force peace on the world. And I can become a greater force of peace in the world. The truth is, sometimes all it takes is the single lit candle in the darkness to start a movement. Oh Spirit, oh Spirit, let me be a candle. Let me be a candle of comfort in this world. Let me burn with peace. So, what is it you can do? What's something you can do? What's something you will do? Anybody want to speak it? You can send it to me privately if you want me to uphold it and uplift it for you or with you. Grant the past, Sybil says. Leave the justice and collector closed. Pursue the climb. To experience, to learn, and connect. Okay, the clock says it's time to begin. Untethered living. God bless every single one of you. Thanks, Jim. Thank you for taking your time here to come, to think, to reflect, to gain insight and perspective, to be a candle, to start a movement. I uplift you. I love you. I love knowing you and getting to share this journey with you. MarthaCreek.com to contact me. Any way in the world I can support you. And get signed up for that little newsletter that's on there through MarthaCreek.com, and you'll get notice of other classes like this that'll come in the spring. And other programs that I have. That's the same way if you want to send donations or offerings, you send it right through the website too. And thank you for those who have already done that. All right. Love you too, Francis. Love to you all. Till we meet again. Yep. Thank you for your time and being here. It's an honor for me.
Thank you, Martha.
You're
Love
welcome.
you.
Thank you, Martha.
Bye, Lisa. You're welcome, precious.
Love you.
Love
Thank
you.
you.
Bye, Cheryl. Glad you made it in here. Bye. Good night, Victoria. Bye, Marcia. So good to see you again, honey. Bye, Shaz. Hi, honey.